How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Lanzo Luconi. I am the founder and director of the Costa Rica Piano Festival. And well, first of all, welcome to our first episode of the Art of Improvisation series. And the Costa Rica Piano Festival has included a improvisation component since the very beginning, because we believe that improvisation will most definitely enhance the creativity, self-confidence, and depth of expression, especially when taught and encouraged from a very young age. So with me here today is Luis Monge. He is an award-winning pianist, composer, professor, and he's one of the, I guess, in my humble opinion, one of the better rounded musicians I've ever encountered. He's a very experienced and very knowledgeable researcher, and it's an honor also to have him as an assistant director of the festival. So before we get started, just a couple of things. Make sure that you mute your mic and that your video is off. Be respectful with the artists and with the fellow attendees. And we'll have a discussion for the first few minutes, and then at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. There's an option here to raise your hand, so I'll be able to see that. And so without further ado, I'll leave you with the great Luis Monge. Take it away.
Hi, everybody there. To all participants, welcome to this, like Lance already mentioned, this first episode. I would like to share just a few thoughts, a few elements related to improvisation. Why improvisation? What is improvisation? And some benefits. And let's start saying that musical improvisation, known as, for some scholars, as extemporization or musical extemporization, is the creative activity of immediate or so-called in-the-moment musical composition, which combines performance with communication of emotions and instrumental technique, as well as spontaneous response to other musicians. Musical ideas in improvisation are spontaneous, but may be based, of course, on some knowledge, experience. For example, in classical music, on chord changes or harmonic structures, but indeed many other kinds of music. And because improvisation is a performing act and depends on instrumental technique, improvisation is a skill. There are musicians who have never improvised and other musicians who have devoted their entire lives to improvisation. A musician's technical ability is not necessarily related to their improvisational ability, though both skills can complement each other. Improvisation is spread throughout all forms of music. If seen as a matter of degree, for example, working towards structure from total free improvisation, we can take a few examples and see. Improvisation, for example, within a simple framework or structure, what we call the head, an intro, improvisation, and a tail, or a coda. Another example, improvisation only in the context of solos, as the free expression of your thoughts, of your musical impulses, with the rest of the piece carefully constructed. And a third example, or finally, this time I would like to comment on improvisation on the smallest degree, the difference between performance of fully composed pieces. Any performer must adapt to physical and mental conditions in order to perform. And those conditions can never be the same twice. in this way, every performer must interact with the moment, regardless of how pre-structured a piece is, in order to play well. And that, friends, this morning here in Costa Rica, and I would like to say, and that is the essence of improvisation: interaction, expression, creativity. And what about the some of the benefits of improvisation when you are a musician or you are aiming at a professional musical career? Well, I have listed 8 benefits, and I would like to mention these benefits. Reinforces listening, trains your ears in all respects, teaches you to think ahead, promotes you, reinforces also the ability to think ahead, which is very important for the interpreter, improves your health. There is a lot of research on that issue, allows for self-expression, and boosts creativity, and it's incredibly motivating for you as an individual. So there might be other benefits, or we can probably develop on each of these particular benefits, and this will be part of this series of improvisation, small or brief talks and chapters within the framework of our Costa Rica Piano Festival. What about you? Have you ever experienced improvisation? How have you ever thought of the importance for you as a performer or as a music teacher, as an artist? Have you ever thought or have you ever given yourself the chance to explore in the moment music making? Well, that's as you already know, and we can all have different information. It's available everywhere, that most musicians, including within the so-called classical repertoire, the Western tradition of music, Western tradition, they were, let's say, up to 80% of these performers and great musicians we admire, they were all improvisers. And today, probably most people think that improvisation is in the Western hemisphere, and probably around the world, people relate improvisation with jazz. And this is not wrong. Of course, jazz has a very prominent element related to creativity and improvisation. But improvisation, again, as I mentioned before, is present in all kinds of musical expressions throughout all music history of mankind. So I would like to just explore at this time a little musical motive, and maybe share it with Lanzo, so he can respond to my motivation or my music motive, and improvise some idea right now. Where does the idea, or where do ideas come from? Ideas come from the way you talk, the way you communicate to people. And music is a language, and words relate to music the way words relate to our common way of communication with language. So let's take, for example, a simple motive like this. What do you think? Does it appeal to you so you can respond to that motive? Lanzo, why don't we talk a little bit and respond to that motive. Let me again present the motive.
Sure.
What would you say to that, Lanzo?
All right, let's try this. So,
German augmented sixth.
very nice. I wanted to add a little bit of that modal feel to it, but it's very interesting when you, in the art of improvisation, you have an idea, and you have your own idea, but when you're interacting with someone else, then you're forced to conform that idea to what the other person is saying as well. So that is true improvisation. That's, I think, as close as we can get to an actual conversation in language. Right? Maybe you have your idea, but then you have to respond to what the other person said, and might not be perfectly aligned with your idea. So that's something that's very interesting and really truly makes it spontaneous.
It doesn't mean that only in the realm of, or in the field of improvisation, you have to respond to others, because this is true in the case of interpreting famous works, piano works, solo works. Sometimes you have to react to the audience. You have to interact and react to the orchestra, or in chamber music to other musicians. The very particular situation in improvisation is that you have to react spontaneously, respond spontaneously to the situation, to your environment sometimes. And this is including not only the audience or other musicians, but you are reacting also to what you hear, because you are thinking in that moment and you are trying to tell what you feel. And this is the slight difference, because interpretation is also recreating and creating on something there is already existing. But in the case of improvisation, you are like just talking like this time. I just want to tell something to you. I just want to communicate. Right. I'm telling Lanzo or something. And I just develop on that, okay? So the importance, like Lanzo was mentioning before, or reinforcing, is that in this case, you respond to musicians in the spot, or respond right. to the audience in the spot.
You know, I find this super interesting, because when you're developing this muscle of spontaneity, it's almost like forcing you to stay present in the moment, right? You can't allow yourself to just start thinking about other stuff, or you have to remain present. And when you do this in performance, whether you're playing memorized music or interpreting whatever style you're doing, it allows you to stay present at all times, because you're listening, you're reacting in real time, rather than just putting your brain on autopilot and let the fingers do their thing. So that's, I think, one of the major contributions, especially from people that are coming from a more traditional classical style, how this can really, really improve the performance and the way that you feel about the music, the way that you understand the music.
Yes, and styles is something also that we will approach later, because we all want to grow as artists, as interpreters, relating and being or reacting to the different styles. You probably experience already the difficulties when it comes to interpreting Bach, and your professor, your tutor, or you make yourself some thoughts about how should it sound, or how is the difference between a Beethoven sonata and a Bach prelude. This is quite a difference there, style. So I can react to styles when I am already reacting to the different sounds, the different timbres, the different instrumentations, or my experiences as an individual, not only as a musician, because we are inside a different cultural environment, and probably you are used to listen to different kinds of music and songs. So according to that, I can also capture the spirit of that. For example, if I try to get into another style or flirt with another style instead of, what about? Completely different style and same motive. And I tried also to concentrate on the things that I said before. By the way, this is one of the most incredible challenges for an improviser. Remember what you said just a few seconds before. So, and this enhances also your ability to retain a text and a memorized text. Incredible, because it's not the same when you try to digest hundreds and thousands of notes in a transcendental etude by Franz Liszt. When you have the parallel experience of creativity and trying to remember and retain what you say in a moment of your life. This will enhance your ability to memorize and retain such a tremendous amount of notes in a transcendental etude by Franz Liszt, or whatever work or other types of music you can think of at this moment. So how do you feel? How are things going? Does anybody want to comment on something? Or
yeah, now we can move on to the Q&A section. If you guys have a question or something, feel free to interact. And I know I have some questions here from some of our followers on Instagram, but I want to give the people that are here the floor first. Your VIP. Anyone have questions? You can just unmute your mic if you want to.
And don't worry, if I don't have the answer, I will do my homework and I will give you an appropriate answer next time.
Let's see. Okay, while people are getting ready for it, I have so someone on Instagram, on our Instagram page, submitted this question. Do you have any advice for people new to improvisation?
Yes, I have. And my first advice is connect the way you talk and you speak with your musical thoughts. Exercise every day the way you connect your speech with your musical imagination. If I, for example, I have a specific sentence in mind, for example, this is a sunny day, I am happy, which is actually is true in this case in the sector of San Jose, Costa Rica, where I live. If I say this is a sunny day, I am happy, I relate the rhythm of the words, the syllables of the words, the intonation, and the spirit that lies within this sentence, this expression. And I wouldn't say, this is a sunny day, I am happy, because this won't relate with happiness. So if I feel happy and I am saying this is a sunny day, relate. Now, remember what I mentioned before? Of course, improvisation, there is some kind of talent, there is some kind of inclination. People, we all, as individuals, as humans, we all have different types of characters, traits, and things that is not only inborn, is developed throughout your life. So, but improvisation is a skill. So these structures that I perform, that I just performed, are related with the extent of knowledge I have of some kind of language. In this case, harmonies. But I could express the same thing without traditional harmonies. For happiness and sunny. So it doesn't necessarily have to relate to tonal tradition related to minor, major. It can relate to any kind of different languages and music structures. Some structures might sound might sound happier than others, or in a happier state of mind. But the thing is that this is the way you relate to that. So, like in different cultures, if you say in German, I am happy, it sounds quite different when you say it in Spanish or in Japanese, I'm happy, or in English. It depends. And it depends also the different cultural environment you grow. Okay, so again, answering your questions, your question specifically, an advice for somebody who is a real beginner: start using the way you think and the way you talk. Let's say your speech and your communication skills. Start using them and relating them to sounds in music, whether it is on piano or violin or percussion or whatever, or a combination of everything.
All right, we have Sue here with a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay, so I am a flautist first, and I've done a lot of improvising, and sometimes I only know what key they're in and not even know what chords they're playing. But I am a piano player second, not to the degree most people here are. And I know that at one point, wait, Luis? No. Oh, yeah, Luis. Said, oh, this is something 6, and I go, oh yeah, I remember that from college, the French at 6 and Italian and German and all that, but I could not be able to come up with that. So the question for me, I can, could come up with melodies, but obviously you're not using like a lead sheet or a chord chart, but we would need some help. Like I would need help getting beyond like 1, 4, 5. And even using 6 for a deceptive cadence or Neapolitan or something. So that's where I would have trouble. Is there any help you can, anything you can tell me?
Oh yes, thank you for your question, and it's very welcome. Also your input. Traditional harmony, functional harmony, is not absolutely necessary to develop creativity, to promote creativity, to get some kind of satisfaction out of creativity. Because, and let me tell you, I'm using this expression because some people fear creativity. They don't feel comfortable when somebody is asks them to express themselves or say something in their own words. And that's why musicians, when we are trained, academically trained in different institutions, academies, universities, quite a majority fear creativity when there is no outline, when there is no book, when there is no text. So it's a matter also of changing and shifting to feel the happiness and the satisfaction of saying telling it in your own words. In that respect, I won't say, not at all, that traditional functional harmony is necessary. On the other hand, as I mentioned before, and this has been researched a lot, especially from the 80s on, has been increasing research on that, improvisation and systematic learning of different structures, and how a musician applies these structures and this knowledge. And on the other hand, you need some kind of speech, like in all types of communication. No matter if it's body language, no matter if it's a specific language like English, Spanish, German, or French, no matter if it's like the communication that we know that is possible in the animal world. They communicate with different, and there's different types of communication. So there are different types of communication. So answering your question, or maybe just giving you motivation, start getting yourself free from boundaries and structures, because the first thing that appears is a specific state of mind and of spirit. You have to feel happy about expressing yourself. And nobody can tell you that your expression is wrong or right, because that will depend on later on the coherence probably, or the architecture of your speech, in this case of your music text or your music expressions. The more you know about different grammars, different vocabulary, like people say, vocabulary, the more you will be able to feel also more, you will have the ability to express yourself. You will feel more free, of course, because you need some type of sounds or thoughts or expressions. In this case, vocabulary, grammar, but it's not related necessarily to traditional harmony or to functional harmony as we know in the Western tradition. I just started off with some of these chords because people relate to that in this Western tradition, but we can start improvising whatever you would like people improvise just like some kind of emotions. For example, emotions. So I'm just relating to thoughts and try to combine in a way that there is a sense of communication. You need some kind of technique, of course. The more developed you are technically, of course, the more possibilities choices you will have to express yourself. Like in a talk, when somebody really masters the communication in a specific language, will be probably a more capable speaker, right? So this is the same in music. So don't worry about functional harmony at first. Try first to shift to the other channel, happiness, satisfaction, get more into yourself, which is, as a pianist, as a concert pianist myself, I have derived lots of benefits from this kind of this attitude, because you learn more about yourself, so you get deeper into what you want to say when you want to communicate, when you interpret a Chopin work, or when you interpret a Ligeti work. So we have to know better ourselves, or get to know better ourselves. And that's the improvisation. The improvisation is about composing in the moment, and so getting to know better your inside, your inner thoughts and your inner feelings. Is that too much, Lanzo? Am I getting too far?
No, that's great. So that helps me with, it's a more contemporary type improvisation you're talking about, because if we're not dealing with traditional harmony, I still feel like I should know better. I mean, I know the seventh chords and all that, and substitute chords, but you're talking about just not using the traditional harmonies, which is fine. I could do that. I still feel like I need to learn the other stuff better.
Well, if I can chime in here, Sue. So what I think Luis is trying to say here is that the approach that he recommends should start from an emotional point of the interpreter, in this case, or of the musician. Try exploring your emotions and then turn them into sound first. Don't think about all the grammatical structures at first. Like eventually, yes, like those things you can practice drills and you can practice all the modulations and you can do that. But I think the approach is very similar to like language, for example. When we start learning language, we basically start just with our basic emotions and needs, right? And then we start learning about grammar and all that stuff. But at first, I think this approach, and from what Luis is trying to say, is just speak with your instrument and start from there. Then you can develop all the functional, non-functional, contemporary harmonies. So I think that's sometimes one of the most intimidating things about improvisation, especially because we have examples like Luis, for example. For him, it's so easy just to go to the piano and speak. But in the case of someone that's not so skilled yet, they still have something to say, right? Mm-hmm. So start from that emotional place, like, okay, what I feel like is this, and I'm just gonna translate it into sound, and then with practice and drills and modulations and whatever you feel like you can add to it, then you do that later.
Okay, so I didn't want you to think I didn't hear what was being said. I did. I just felt like I can do that part a lot better than I can do all the stuff that I need. I teach my kids that for certificate of merit they have to know all those chords, but I don't spend my life using them in improvisation. That's all I'm saying. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's all right. Don't worry. So thank you, Sue, and thank you all for your participation. I'm quite thrilled because even though it's the first time, and Lanzo and myself, we were a little nervous because we haven't done this before together, even though we know each other for years. But this is the first time, and don't worry about forms, about grammar. Like Lanzo said, we all learn language when we are little babies, and we start just saying something that only mother and father, only daddy and mother understand. And they don't care about it because the thing is emotion and expression, right? On the other hand, we cannot oversee that or get around it, that you have to, in time, you have to acquire some technical skills, vocabulary, grammar, and then you will become a more skilled improviser and composer. Because remember that when you improvise, you are already touching base with composition. You are composing.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for today. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please tune in next week. So next Thursday, same time, we'll be talking about melodic creativity, how to come up with melodies and what makes a melody. all the basics about that. And remember to follow us on social media to stay up to date. And we have a YouTube channel, Facebook, and Instagram. So feel free to join us and subscribe there. Also subscribe to our mailing list so you can get all the updates and newsletter. And if this is really something that you want to take a little bit more serious and develop, please consider signing up for the in-depth course, which will take place during the actual festival, which is going to be held from July 13th to 18th. We'll have several sessions there. And you can see more information on our website, www.costarricapianofestival.com. We have all sorts of programs for different kinds of interests. But if you want to learn this a little bit more in depth and actually get down to the practical side of it, I recommend that you join the workshop. So thank you.
Do you allow, Lanzo?
Yeah?
So before saying goodbye for now, do you allow me one blues chorus for the participants?
Sure.
Okay.
Bravo. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next Thursday. Bye.
Next Thursday.